remember in the chat just how you're feeling today. All right. Somebody's feeling sleepy, sleepy cat. Somebody's feeling like wine. So yeah. Okay, we got a couple curious people, a couple people who looks like they got electrocuted. Their hair is going nuts. Yeah. Sleepy. Good. So thought I'd just kind of take almost always forward. Take everybody's temperature, as it were. Which one do I feel like today?
What's popping?
Oh, good. Somebody feels like a 6. Yeah, I think maybe I'm somewhere around a 5, 4 or 5. So I'm a little bit tired, but yay, we're gonna do class. Good. So thanks for showing up. Let's go there. I wanted to start by doing a couple of check-ins. So how did you guys find the asynchronous activities for last week? Was it too hard, too easy? Were there too many readings, not enough readings?
I find they were interesting.
Found they were interesting. Let's see, somebody in the chat. It's fine. Yeah, everybody else find it reasonably manageable. Like the videos. Yeah, I want to try and include videos whenever I can, just because it's a nice change of pace. Okay. And my other question is, because I had a Moodle thing up, you didn't like the video with the lady. Did you like watching it but just didn't like the content?
This food is so good.
She was boring. All right. Well, as long as everybody likes something, and it's working. Yeah. So my other question was, because I had a Moodle reading quiz for the first week. Is there lots of people who still can't figure out and or hate Moodle? You can like raise your Zoom hand or throw it in chat. Me. Okay. You. Have you guys used Microsoft Teams? Do you like that better? Yeah, so what I've done, Teams is fine, Teams is good. Okay, because like Moodle is old and basic. I use it, but I hate it. So I thought what I would do for today is that I've created us a couple, because I want to use the quiz function. So I've created an in-class quiz and then an after-class quiz for the asynchronous activities. And they're through Microsoft Forms. So you could go in it through Teams. And I've also put a link to it on the Omnibox. Yeah, any thoughts on Teams? People find it pretty okay?
I find it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to use Teams, yeah. Yeah, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just I'll directly link everything from the Omnibox, so that if you really want to, you can, if you love Microsoft Teams, you can open it on your computer and go in that way. And if you don't, you should be able to get to the forms.
Right.
Good. Okay. More chat thoughts. Moodle quiz was a trap. No, we didn't have anything to do on Teams yet. We're going to do things on Teams today and this week. So I'll get here first. This is today's I meant to put that first. This is today's outline. So first we're going to do a short in-class quiz. It's only rated for your participation. And I'm going to give you time to do that in like 2 minutes. Then we're going to talk about holy madness, about demonic possession and witchcraft. And then we're gonna spend some time talking about the response papers. So hopefully you had a chance to watch the video of me talking about writing last week, because we're gonna get to those. Okay, before you all stress out too much about the quiz. So this is what you need to do. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. If you finish in 5, it's cool, but I feel like some people might need 10. So if you can go, I'll show you how to find it. So if you go into Omnivox here, come on, there we go. And you scroll down, you scroll down, you scroll down. See, it says quiz, Foucault and Koenig. Do not take this quiz before class. So you're gonna click on that and you're gonna open it in a tab. And then,
right?
Sorry?
That's on Teams, you have to do all that?
It's through, so you can get there on Omnivox. You just have to click the
assignment?
No, the document.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, when you guys click it, you should be able to follow the link. Omnivox is so ugly. So you'll scroll down because my Omnivox is slightly different. I guess I can't click and do the quiz, but if you click right where it says quiz on Foucault and Koenig, I honestly don't know how to say their name. It will bring you to something like this. Yay, quiz. Okay.
How'd you do that?
Okay, so in Omnivox, I don't know if there's a way I can see it from your point of view, but you're gonna click on this, Foucault and Koenig, and it'll take you here. If it doesn't take you there, I can also paste it in the chat. So this is also like a reading quiz. So it'll require that you look back over the two readings that I had you do on ships for last week, and that you find the answers in there. And this quiz we're gonna do now in class, but it's not graded for your correct answers. It's only graded for your participation. Yeah, I'll paste the link in the chat just in case, sure. Share, copy.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we got to get this on week 3? Like right now?
Yeah, we're gonna do this in class today. So this will be an in-class quiz.
Okay, right. Okay, so what's the response paper? We're doing that after.
Yes.
Okay, right. All right.
Yeah.
Miss, I just realized there's like 5 quizzes. Which one?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So there should be only 2. There should be only 2 in Omnivox under week 3.
See week 3.
Okay. Should be able to see it though.
Can we start it?
I'm in the right.
Oh, it's under
Yes.
documents. Right.
Yeah. So it's under documents. Sorry, it's not in assignments. It's under documents because it's a link.
Right.
Yeah. And there should be 2 quizzes there.
Miss,
Yes.
it wants me to sign in with Microsoft. I don't know, like what do I put my student ID number?
Put your Vanier login.
Okay, and then what is it? It's at what? It's at
It's at vaniercollege.q here. I'll put
It's
it.
your student number at edu.vanier.blah.
vaniercollege.qc.ca.
But put your student number before the at.
okay, thanks for
Exactly.
But you missed the edu, by the way, huh?
where's the edu before?
It's before.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
Okay, thanks, bro.
You heard?
Where's the story for us to do, like to read for the quiz?
So it was in the readings for last time. So there's the two readings for last time. Well, 2 of them is what the quiz is about. So the Foucault about the ships, and the Koenig about wandering.
Okay.
So you can, this is an open book quiz. Hey Dante, it's okay. We're gonna do this quiz that you can find on Omnivox in the documents section. So you go ahead and open both of those. Take a few minutes. Yeah, I'll give you about 10, but as I said, I'm not going to grade it for your answers. I'm just gonna grade it for participation. And then we'll come back and we'll start talking about the next things. Does it sound good? I'm gonna hang out here on the Zoom, so if you have questions, like more technical questions and you can't figure it out, let me paste again the link.
Click on the first one, right?
Sorry?
You click on the first one?
Yeah, the first quiz.
Okay.
Under
I
week
clicked it
3.
now.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
What if all our answers are wrong? Do we get a bad grade?
Not for this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you whenever we do a quiz if it's going to be graded for like content, which is right answers, or if it's just a participation.
Excuse me, miss?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the formsoffice.com thing? That's the quiz, or the quiz is on Omnivox?
That's the direct link to the quiz, but that link is also on Omnivox. So,
Okay, perfect. And then we just send it to you by.
Because you have to submit again.
Okay, yeah.
Submission.
yeah, you'll just submit it.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Good. It looks like this.
You should have resumed call.
Oh. Okay, somebody's having a problem. You don't have permission to view or respond to the form.
Yeah, me too.
Shoot. Ah. Okay, this is super annoying because I was like, because when I go into Teams, I can see you all there. So, okay, if this is also a problem, we'll just go over it verbally for now. I have another quiz in your asynchronous activities for this week. So don't do that tonight. I will make sure that you can have access to it. Let me see why it doesn't. Oh wait, okay. Can you guys try again?
Right.
Because I think maybe that'll. I have 10.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, excellent.
Does this count?
Does what count?
Like, is it a participation or is it?
This one's participation.
Are we doing Christian Madness?
We're not doing that quiz right now. That quiz is for later.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
You said later, like later today?
It's going to be part of your asynchronous activities, so you can do it either later today or later this week.
All right.
Good. Okay, I'm just going to watch the responses roll in, and once all your responses are in, then we can go over it quickly. Did I write that down? So you don't have to use Moodle or Teams, but you can access these forms through Teams. So it might be easier that way. But you don't have to worry about going into those programs themselves. I will put the direct link on Omnibox.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, fill the questions now. If you are 33. Okay, we'll wait for the last few of you to fill it out. I would like everybody to do it now, unless there's like a reason why you can't, like if you can't access the readings. Oh no, but you can have the wrong answers on this quiz. This quiz, I'm not. Yeah. I'm just like getting a record of everybody who took part in it, you know? I promise. Okay, 31. Let's see if we can get to 33. Mm-hmm. 34. Oh, okay. Now we're past. So that's good. So thanks. Let me know. I'll check in periodically throughout the semester about how things are. Okay, so the first question, this is false. Oh, no, I'm editing it. So the first question is false.
No. You're gonna give the answers. Can I just fill it? Because I didn't do it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go
and then I'm
ahead.
gonna feel like I'm cheating.
Okay.
Right.
Take just a couple more minutes.
Okay, you can do it.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to check in about how you guys feel about doing things in class time, out of class time, all these. For today, so the first one is false. Koenig does not argue that they were never transported on ships. She just says it may not be as common as we thought. The second point, this is just focusing on a case study. This is one madman who was sent to a number of different towns. And the last town he was sent to was Passau. So does Foucault argue that towns that were like religious pilgrimage sites had more mad people than non-religious towns? No. We also saw a large amount of madness in towns that had nothing special about them. And so Koenig argues that madness was a greater concern to the town of Nuremberg than what other conditions. She mentions blindness and disobedient sons. She doesn't mention promiscuity or leprosy. So, yay, I got my response. Okay, that's it. We're done the quiz. Hooray. I promise, it's in the slides. It's graded only for participation. Okay, so now we're going to get into mysticism, holy visions, and the relationship of medieval Christianity to madness. Yes, the asynchronous quiz for today counts for grades. And it's also a reading quiz, and like, I guess everything's open book now that we're remote. So you can take your time and check it over. Yes, it will be due for next week. You're ahead of it already, Alpha. Good. So there's roughly two kinds of religious madness that were prominent in the medieval through the early modern ages. And the first is holy madness or holy visions. And then the second is demonic possession or witchcraft. So there's a long tradition of Christian mystics, particularly women mystics, in the medieval ages, experiencing holy visions. It's not clear whether today we would say these are like delusions or psychosis. Some people think that they may have been epileptic seizures. But in any case, there were many, particularly nuns and sort of devoted monastics who had visions primarily of Jesus or God. They would often feature a kind of rapture or levitation even. So some of these women would claim that they floated. There's the concept of religious ecstasy, which is a kind of awe before God and the sublime. And the third kind of vision they often had was a vision of hell, sort of a vision of damnation, an insight into that. And mostly, for large periods of time, up until the early modern period, the church supported these mystics and said, yes, they're prophets and healers, and these are legitimate holy visions. So these aren't in fact things that we should be scared of. This is an insight. This is receiving knowledge. It happens in a strange way, but it is for them legitimate. So that's the basic idea behind a holy vision. Now, some people definitely still experience and report on holy visions these days, but they're not anywhere near as common as they were in the medieval times. Next slide. So one example of this is a medieval nun named Teresa of Avila. Chat, too much wacky mushroom. Yeah, so on the left, this is an illustration of one of the things that Teresa de Avila saw in her visions. And so she was presented with a vision of the soul, like a diamond in the shape of a castle. So it is kind of hard to imagine. I suppose this is the best rendering of it that we have. And in this vision, she saw a sort of path to becoming one with God. And so she actually wrote an entire book giving people ideas on how to become more passive, on a couple more people coming in late, on like steps, like what is the procedure if you want to have this close, intimate relationship. We have sort of a map in the picture of the interior castle. So I'm going to try and show you a short YouTube video. Please, if it's lagging a lot, yell at me in the chat. Don't yell at me, just like be like, hey, it's lagging, and we'll skip it. But thought it was worth just a little bit of information on her visions.
our Lord showed Saint Teresa a vision of hell, in which she seemed to be lodged in a place which she had deserved, that is, into which the vanities and dangerous amusements of her youth would have led her had she not been reclaimed by the divine mercy. Ever grateful to God for his love and mercy, Saint Teresa continued ever after most heartily to thank God for having mercifully delivered her, to weep for sinners, and to compassionate the blindness of so many who swallow down as if they were nothing even most grievous sins. Saint Teresa frequently saw devils in hideous figures, but she drove them away by the sign of the cross, and when the place was sprinkled with holy water, they never returned. She wrote, "I know by frequent experience that there is nothing which puts the devils to flight like holy water." In raptures, she was sometimes elevated into the air. She was favored with apparitions of the Blessed Virgin, St. Joseph, and other saints, and frequently of angels of different orders standing near her. One of these visions she describes as follows. "I saw an angel very near me, towards my left side, in a corporal form. This angel appeared rather little than big, and very beautiful. His face was so inflamed that he seemed to be one of those highest angels called seraphim, who seemed to be all on fire with divine love. He had in his hand a long golden dart, and at the end of the point methought there was a little fire. And I conceived that he thrust it several times through my heart, after such a manner that it passed through my very bowels. And when he drew it out, methought it pulled them out with it, and left me wholly inflamed with a great love of God."
Okay, so that's a little insight into what Saint Teresa saw. Any thoughts about that?
What
It's
the
crazy.
hell?
This is beyond my knowledge.
This is beyond your knowledge, yeah.
He pierced her. Wow. I'm shocked.
Right.
Why would he do that?
Because he's a savage.
Yeah, so a lot of these things, right? It wasn't literally happening to her body, but she was having a very embodied experience, right? She felt as if she was there. And both all these like beautiful revelations of angels, but also these dangers. Yeah, what's in the chat? He's built different, yeah. So that's one example. So she was a monastic, she was in the church as a nun, right? That's not human, that's not how things are done. Indeed, she would say, yes, it's not human, it is supernatural. So one other thing, example that I wanted to bring of a holy mystic, she was a laywoman before she entered. And you're gonna have to read just like 3 pages from her book. It is in Old English. It is kind of difficult. That's why you only have 2.5 pages. So Marjorie Kemp was sort of an ordinary woman, and she had a very, very difficult childbirth when she was 20. And for about 8 months following that childbirth, she was having different kinds of visions. So both visions of Jesus or God and visions of demons. So some people speculate that today we would say she had postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. But Marjorie took the visions that she had as a sign that her life was not on the right track. So she'd been trying to operate as a merchant, and instead she took these repeated visions as a sign that she ought to devote herself to religion. So she began writing about her experiences and traveling across Europe on pilgrimages. And what you're going to read from is called The Book of Marjorie Kemp. And she couldn't write, so she dictated this to someone in the early 1420s. So you're going to read the first few pages. It's actually quite a long book. And it's considered the earliest autobiography that exists in English. I don't want to show you.
But it's in Old English, you said?
It's in, well, it's like between Old and Contemporary English. I found as new of a translation as I could. I don't know. You can take a look and download it. One important thing to know is that they don't refer to her by name in the text. They refer to her as this creature or that creature. I'm not exactly sure why, maybe because it has like an acknowledgement that she's a creature of God. But there will also be the odd word that you don't recognize or that is quite old. Like, for example, one of the words on the first page is shriven. I'm going to put it in the chat. Shriven, which is not a word that we use anymore, but it basically means forgiven. So look things up as you need to, but I did get a fairly modern translation. It'll just be harder than some of the other things. Okay. So that's the first type of madness that we could say is a holy madness, which was not named as madness. Further was said that this isn't madness, this is knowledge, this is revelation. So the other side of religious madness is, of course, witchcraft and demonic possession. And so from the late medieval into the early modern period, you've probably heard that there was a whole bunch of witch trials across Europe and some in North America. And so the mad, especially if they were women, but also if they were old, if they were spinsters and unmarried, or if they were medicine women, they would frequently charge with being witches in league with the devil if they had strange speech, convulsions, other kinds of strange behaviors. This was typically attributed, so many of them were hung and burned. Not all of them were hung and burned, but these things that we take today as symptoms, as a medical sign of something, were generally taken to be a sign of their alliance with the devil. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, absolutely. Some were killed for illegitimate reasons, many certainly. Yes, others were drowned and tortured. So you may have heard about the test to find a witch where it's like witches don't sink to the bottom of the river, so you throw them in the river, and if they sink, then they die and they're not a witch, but if they don't sink and die, then they're a witch and you burn them anyways. So these interesting kind of determinations of what is going on, what is the danger here. And there's two different relationships that the devil or Satan could have with the witch. One is the idea that he would be fully possessing her. So this is like the possession that we see in horror movies today, when there's sort of someone else inside of you. Yeah. So there's a reference to the Monty Python sketch about witches in the chat. So on the one hand, the devil could be possessing you directly. On the other hand, witches were sometimes accused of having sex with the devil, or the devil living in their pets, in their cats, in their animals. And yeah, the things that were interpreted as telltale signs of witchcraft ran a whole gamut of anything that seemed strange, any kind of signs of illness, or any unfortunate deaths or injuries in the vicinity. So this also, we can say, was not necessarily recognized as madness. It was recognized as danger. People knew more things about witches. You want to throw it out there?
Miss, there's actually a really cool story about this woman in like medieval, like Renaissance Italy, like from Sicily. And she was and she had a potion that was disguised as makeup, and she called it acqua da fana. And basically it was like it disguised as makeup, and they would put it in their husband's like food, who were like abusive and like really, really abusive. And like, so they would kill them, and like she like killed like 600 people, like close to 600 to 900 people. Like, and it's like, and she got hung, or I think she got hung because of that, and they called her a witch.
Yeah, so a lot of things, including... Sorry?
I thought they used to burn witches.
Primarily burning, but also some hanging.
This was a Rome Renaissance.
Right.
Yeah, so not only symptoms of illness, but even kinds of various crimes that they don't know how they were committed were thrown under witchcraft. So we're gonna watch a short video from a witchcraft expert who put out an academic book about it.
So anything basically that was mysterious, that there was no answer to, they would just put it under witchcraft.
Yes, but specifically once they had, like they had to have a plausible, what do you call it? Plausible person to point to as a witch, right? So you probably wouldn't find a town where like, I don't know, everybody's married and there's tons of happy families and like the cows are fine. They probably wouldn't start accusing people of witchcraft. But if there's like strange people, hermits, sick old ladies, and something starts going weird with your farm, they would.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the opportunity. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna watch this little witchcraft clip. Sorry, and then we'll talk more after that, okay?
First of all, there are the trial records, especially those that give the depositions of witnesses. There are the narratives of witchcraft cases, which usually appear in pamphlet form and therefore much more readable than these long, involved trial records. Then you have witchcraft treatises by demonologists, many of whom are basing their ideas about witchcraft on the on the trials that they themselves had presided over. And then there are the images of witchcraft that are done by artists who are familiar in most cases with demonological theory. And all of these different types of sources are included in the witchcraft source. One of the ways that I've tried to address this in the source book is to include in the website an interactive map where the reader can click on a particular country or a particular region or a particular town or German principality and get basic information about the number of prosecutions in those areas. Well, I think there's really three areas where we have some exciting new research. The first is in the area of demonic possession, which is a phenomenon that is not always closely associated with witchcraft, but it was in this particular period. Secondly, a lot of interesting studies, especially at the local level, on the application and use of torture. To find out that indeed there are very different applications that are used, that the torture is more intense or less intense in certain areas. And then also research on the social profile of witches, especially on the question of male witches, which have not been the subject of a great deal of research. Well, there are many of them, but I can think of three main ones. So the first is that this was a medieval phenomenon. And the reason for that is that people have these word association games in which they think of witchcraft, they think of torture, they think of the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. But in fact, these prosecutions took place during this early modern period, which is a period roughly between the Middle Ages and the modern period. And of course, that's the period where you have all these monumental changes in society and the economy and the religion that contribute to this phenomenon, to the increase in the number of prosecutions and executions. The second one, the second myth, is that all the witches were executed. And we have found that, in fact, only about half of the witches who are tried are executed. The third myth is that everybody believed in witchcraft back then. And to some extent, there was a widespread belief, both at the popular level and at the elite level, that witchcraft existed. But there was a very, very strong degree of skepticism regarding witchcraft, or at least about certain aspects of the crime of witchcraft. In Harry Potter, Harry Potter actually flies on a broomstick. And it's interesting because he's male, and back then women flew on broomsticks because the broom was a symbol of the female sex, because women swept the house and they would put their brooms outside the door. Men, if they flew, and we do have some images of them, they flew on pitchforks because they were out in the field. And so I often thought that if you're going to have Harry Potter fly, why not have him fly on a pitchfork? But of course, that's not the image. The image that we have is of a witch on a broomstick, and that's universal. By the way, it's also true in England. I mean, we have, even though no English witches flew, nevertheless, we have the image, and you see these in the 19th century, in the 20th century. There's the witch, the old crone on a broomstick flying through the air, even though she never did.
Hope you guys enjoyed that flute music. It's pretty funny. What did you all think about that? Did you know any of it, some of it?
I like the women are meant to clean part. That's why they're on a broom.
Yeah, so there's an alignment with certain kinds of ideas about gender stereotypes. Yeah.
Right.
Any other thoughts? Anybody want to ride pitchforks?
Yeah, that was interesting about the pitchfork part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds dangerous, definitely. Both versions of flying sound pretty dangerous. Yeah, so I'll put a link to that on Omnivox as well if you want to go check out that guy's book. Yeah, it's pitchfork sounds practical. Magic could be universal, right? Could be from anyone. Good. Swift kill. So another example to do with demonic possession. Oh, one more chat. Try flying straight into someone with a pitchfork. Ouch. Following witchcraft trials and accusations of witch possession, they petered out in England. They mostly stopped after the English Civil War. So somebody's asked in chat if somebody could be accused of a witch based on how they look. Absolutely. If they, if they dress in a certain way, like now we have specific images of the pointy hat, but it might not be a pointy hat. It might just be like an old lady who's poor, or somebody who dresses strangely, right?
I remember watching the TV show Salem,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, like, if someone passed away, like even if it was from sickness and had something to do, and they see a woman was looking at them, they declared her a witch and burn her at the stake.
Yeah.
Like it was like if someone passes away and you're looking at them and you're not like a nurse or anything, then like you're deemed as a witch.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if you're close by, you must somehow be involved. You must have caused this. Tal also says, points out that if they were extremely beautiful, sometimes they were, right? So that you're bewitching men, so that they somehow are under your control. And kidnapping kids maybe in part because kids just went off and did things, right? Kids often go missing, and I'm sure they went missing more back then. You couldn't really know if a witch was your neighbor, but it was also hard for people to prove that they were not witches, right? Because any sort of proof they have could often be turned against them. So witchcraft trials petered off, as I said, in England during the English Civil War, but a concern with witches and possession continued in continental Europe. So this is one famous case. It happened in France in Loudun in 1630. And this is a case in which nuns at a convent were actually the ones who were possessed. So this was a particular problem because if the witches are the ones who are possessed, like we've already identified those as the bad guys, as the ones causing danger, right? As the ones through the church who don't believe in the church. But if the nuns are getting possessed, that's somebody like in the inner circle, right? Somebody who does believe. And so in ways, this was much more dangerous for the church. And so this one case, you don't need to memorize the details of it, but for over 4 years, most of the nuns at the convent were possessed. There's reports of them meowing like kittens, convulsing and shaking. And eventually the head priest is the one who was accused and burned of the stake as a witch. Was there another? Yeah.
This actually happened, or this is somebody that they thought that they were possessed?
I mean, it's debatable. Like we can't.
Is that really a thing, or is someone just acting stupid?
We can't tell, right? So it's also like we're thinking, okay, one of the problems with this case is that a whole bunch of nuns in the convent did it. So it's kind of hard to, write it off as just like one person being weird. But many people will say that it's kind of we'll talk more about hysteria later, but that it was a collective hysteria. Kind of like if everyone around you starts panicking at like, I don't know, somebody says there's fire and there's no fire, and all of a sudden people start running around and screaming like, oh my God, there's a fire. You will all be acting like there's fire. Right? So somebody in the chat says placebo, these kinds of things, right? Someone, yeah. So I think it's an open question. I mean, I'm agnostic, so it's entirely possible in my mind that some people could be possessed. It's also possible that something else was going on. So someone in the chat also said maybe they were trying to get rid of the priest. This is definitely a theory that some historians have. Nevertheless, we can see that actually the symptoms of possession kept happening after the priest died. So this is a pretty strange one. This is from a movie that was made about it in 1971 by Ken Russell, and it's called The Devils. Yeah, so someone in chat is saying, like, could sleepwalking be a sign of possession? I think it could be. It's a kind of activity in which you don't seem to be in control of your body, right? Something else seems to be in control of your body. So it definitely could be a reason why someone would suspect possession.
The Henny.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play you the trailer for this film. It is a horror film. It is like people being possessed. So if you wanna just like look away, I'm not at any point going to be offended. There's also been numerous books written about this case. So let's throw it on.
Is this Sisters of Act? Oh shit.
It's all right.
Do you remember the first time your thoughts were turned to evil things?
He plies me with caresses, lustful, obscene. He enters my bed at night and takes from me that which is consecrated to my divine bridegroom, Jesus Christ.
And what form does this incubus take? Who is responsible for this evil possession? But of course I can prove nothing. This Mother Superior may be little more than a hysterical nun.
But if it is a genuine case of possession by devils, and if Grandier himself was proved to be involved, then yes, I think it bears investigation, gentlemen.
You've been a magician.
I'd commerce with devils.
You face eternal damnation.
Conjecture is useless. We need a professional witch hunter. We must send for Father Barre.
Surprises for you.
His Majesty's triumphed again.
Of His Majesty.
I have been a man. I have loved women. I have enjoyed power.
All right. They all look sticky and gross, for sure. We can question what all the hygiene was like back then. Sorry if it was lagging for some of you. Also, the link will be on Omnivox. So this is obviously a dramatization of the story. It's not a documentary. It's not necessarily trying to be exactly faithful to all of the historical documents and reports. But if you like horror movies, it might be worth looking at. Check it out. Hope I'm not the sticky gross one. Good. So, as mentioned in the witchcraft book video that I showed you, there was in fact quite a fair amount of challenge to the idea of demonic possession or of holy madness. So you're going to have this reading today. Is already up on Omnivox on Christian madness, which talks about these two types. And Porter notes frequently that there were challenges from a number of scientists and doctors that said whether it be possession or holy visions, these both seem to be issues of health or just like not related to the divine at all. No fighting in chat today. Maybe another day. So one of the examples that Porter gives is this long paragraph at the bottom, which is actually the title of a piece that someone wrote. And this is back when titles were really long and titles had the information within them about what they were. So this title is also in somewhat Old English, but we can see that he's proposing there's a disease called suffocation of the mother. It turns out that this has to do with the uterus. And he says, it hath been of late, recently, we have suspected possession of an evil spirit or a supernatural power. But in this book, he is going to declare that actually all these actions and passions of the body, all these symptoms that we commonly attribute to the devil, have their own natural causes. So even as early as 1603, there is in fact challenge to religious interpretations. So we're going to read about that. Okay, now is the time. Now is the time to talk about the first response assignment. So I'm going to show you the instructions first. Oh no, exactly. I guess I won the fight then. So this is the document that is uploaded as instructions on Omnivox under assignments. And so it's due next class at the beginning of class. There is a late penalty that if you hand it in a day late, you'll lose 0.5 points. And that's out of a maximum of 5 points. So for example, if you hand it in on Tuesday instead, and you would have gotten 4, you're gonna get a 3.5.
Quick question.
Yep.
What was I gonna say? Could I use the story of the remember with the pills and the girl? Would I be allowed to use that story?
The first one, the Wang?
Yeah.
No. Sorry. I'm going to, each time that I assign you these, I'm going to give you a few options. Oh yeah, the Esme Weizheng Wang piece. So this time you have 2 short options. You have Foucault on the boat that we read last week, which was like 5 pages.
The what?
Sorry?
What did you say? I didn't even hear you.
Oh, so the first choice that you have for this week is Foucault's writing about the boat, about the ship, Fools. Right. And that's about 5 pages. you have the book of Marjorie Kemp, as I said, chapter 1, which is only 4 pages. And then if you want to, which is probably the easiest one to read, but is longer, about 10 pages on Christian madness.
Right.
So you're going to pick just one of those, and you're going to write a response to it. And it must be between 250 and 400 words. So this is a short paper, and part of your task or challenge is figuring out what things you need to include, and what things that can be left out. Chat questions. Yes. Yes, go to the bathroom, Muhammad Ali. This will all be up on here. So it's due next class at the beginning of class. Yes. So every couple weeks, you're gonna have one of these assignments, and it will always be due the following week, 6 p.m.
Right.
Good. And it has to be submitted on Leia. It must be double spaced in 12-point font. You must have your name and my name on it. And it must be clear which reading you're responding to. So you can put the name of the author, or you can put the title, either way. Okay, so there's 2 main things that you're going to do in this response. This should sound somewhat familiar if you watched the video last week. So in the first part, you're going to, yes, the readings are all on Leia. In the first part of the paper, you're going to provide a brief summary. Try to focus most of all on what the main point of the author is. Don't narrate their entire piece. So don't say like, first Foucault talks about this, then he talks about this, then he talks about this, then he talks about this. Try and figure out what the main idea or main ideas are. And that should be about 1/3 of your essay. And so the second part is your response. So you should share thoughts that you had related to the reading. It might be like you agree with the author or you disagree. It might remind you of something interesting. So personal experience, something you learned in another class. Or even if there's any portions that like really confused you, you can choose in your response to like point to that passage. So maybe put a short quote, or if there's terminology or definition you don't understand, and then try to figure it out right now. Yeah, I'm getting a couple chats. So the instructions are basically going to be the same every time we do one of these short papers. It's just going to be which things you can respond to that are different. Is the Google PowerPoint available on Leia? Yes. Yes, the quiz that is due next class is also on Leia. I have to change that quiz and make you guys able to access it, so you probably can't do it right now. Okay.
The quiz is on Moodle?
No, Leia. Yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna do a short activity to get you guys into planning the assignment. So if you remember what we did with the breakout rooms last time, this is kind of similar to that, except for instead of answering questions about the text, you'll be, this top bar, okay, go away. You will be starting to brainstorm and figure out your assignment ideas. So I'm gonna paste in the chat Google Slides link, and I'm going to put you into 7 groups this time. Oh, it says group 1. Oh, does it? No. That one says group 1. I'm going to put you in 7 groups. I'll put you in for like 5 or 10 minutes. You all can tell me or come back if it's too long. But basically, put up your names in the title. And then together, you're going to need to figure out 3 things you'll need to do to complete the assignment. Like, what are the steps? And 3 questions that you have about the assignment. So you will all spend a few minutes in the breakout rooms there. Then I'll bring us back, and we're going to go over some of the planning and, importantly, your questions together. Make sense? More or less? Okay. What if you have no questions? Maybe you could figure out some questions, or you can talk with your group about what questions you might have. Okay, so I'm gonna send you into your breakout rooms. Goodbye.
Hello.
Jason,
Good.
we meet again.
All right, so things you will need to do in order to complete the assignment. All right, I don't know if this is right, but I'm pretty sure we have to read. I wish I didn't have to read. I'm there and I'm like, can I even like word? Can I even write? Can I read? What is this shit? Like, what even is life? I just go into an existential crisis and then it just blows up, you know? I just want to go back in the past and just be a cabbage or something. I don't know. Either be a monkey or I want to be like, you know, at the floor of the ocean, there's like
Rock.
specks of life.
Rock. Stay rock. Rock.
There's rock. Well, I mean, we came from there. There's like little microbes. I guess we can become microbes.
Rock.
I mean, if I can be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, that'd be sick too.
Teamwork.
What the hell is that?
Canadian style.
That's still going, dude.
Yo.
Yeah, you both look nice. Yes. I mean, like, really depends on the situation, you know? If like I'm having a rough day, you know, it doesn't make me go like, oh no, my day's bad, you know, because I'm already having a bad day. So like, you just let it happen, you know? Go with the flow. All right, I say that the 3 questions, if you guys have questions for the teacher, you can just write them, because I personally thought it was kind of, you know, easy. And those, I don't really have any questions for the response paper. I think it's pretty straightforward. Wait, that's what the questions are for, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm kind of lost. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, our conversation
Like
confused
looking
you.
at all the other groups, there's 2 groups that are writing things. Group 5 and 7. say we just copy what you're writing.
Yes. Alright, so
Group 4 is still writing their names.
Oh, we have to write our names?
Yeah.
yes, there's one is my I think it's one in the chat that's like doesn't have a last name.
Yeah, it's like my
Just extra A's, you know.
yeah.
Alright, so
Like how there's 4 of us here and there's 6 names.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's some people trying to be in our group, trying to be the cool kids.
That is scary.
Wait a minute. Oh God. What's happening to him? What happened to my boy Mario? Oh my God.
Eyebrows, where are you?
He needs to wear. He needs a mustache. Okay. He just needs it. Like Bob the Builder. What is this? He actually does. Mario looking fresh, eh?
I can't. No. No.
Ew.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm tired, you guys. Oh.
I was just gonna say you should keep that one. It goes perfect with what we're learning. Demonic stuff.
Uh-oh, my Zoom is just dying. Uh-oh. Save my internet. Am I getting DDoSed?
No.
Stopped responding.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is it still working? If anything happens, someone please tell the teacher that I died. That wasn't my fault.
Alrighty.
I mean, right now
You know that already.
watching the AOT.
You know that already.
Got shot. Rip. I was like, oof. Kind of sad moment. I don't know. The longer the show goes, the more I kind of like don't care about who dies because I kind of expect people to die now. I'm kind of like there, and I'm like, oh no, he died. It's almost like it was written in the sky. That sucks.
Great.
The show has some like I know a lot of people are questioning the animations and stuff. Yeah, I like it. Why are there so many people on our team?
Just erased my name. What the hell? Rude.
Whatever, they can try to be in this group if they want. Everyone just joins one group. No one works. Everyone just goes on the one group and starts fucking around. Like a Scriblio game, you know? Yes, a lot. Play kind of too many games. Right now I'm just playing. I mean, it really depends on my mood. I mean, right now I'm bored, so when I'm bored, I just kind of hop on League. I'm not playing League. I got a long roster. I have my console games too, and my console's in the other room. I play like a lot of Dark Souls and stuff.
Ooh, Dark Souls.
Yeah, I'm super huge on the series. I joined in like, I think a year later after the game came out, and followed it ever since till today. That and Monster Hunter.
That's good too.
Although, I don't know, Worlds for me was kind of a letdown compared to the other games. Not graphically, the graphics were amazing, alright, but like everything else about the game. Like, was it just me that every time I got hit, I got...
That's a rip, yeah.
Oh.
Hello.
Sure. I guess. I mean, anything to pass. Anything to pass.
You do?
Of course. Of course. Yo, since Marianne, I know you're onto something. I swear to God, this guy. Remember the French exam? Yeah. The PowerPoint, the French exam, you with the tiny book. Or like yeah. You just, nice. You're into something. Great. Stop. Stop. Mm. Mm-hmm. A lot. I wasn't part of it though. Just as easiest, but good old days. Oh God. Ooh, welcome back.
Back. I'm not dead. My computer didn't explode.
Welcome back.
Still alive. Just stopped working. I got, just Zoom stopped responding. All right, I'm gonna do something real quick.
We're like 4 more minutes, so I see.
Down.
Is there people from this class that are in that group?
Yeah.
When was this group chat made? What the hell?
What the?
Okay, it's pretty good group
What
chat.
about the homework or something?
There you go. I'll just put it in chat.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very original name. Totally not when I was 12 years old.
The gaming Alex.
Totally not me when I was 12 years old, Like I go on I think I went on a really old console the other day, an old Xbox I don't play with anymore, and I was like, damn, my name is so stupid. What was wrong with me? Now I look at it, I'm like, damn, I was cringy as fuck.
1 minute, y'all.
God, hopefully they click on the link I put in this. Nothing bad, it's just Crab Rave, don't worry. No, it's Crab Rave for 10 hours. Hell yeah, the way to go.
30 seconds. I don't know. Yeah.
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah, no. Ooh, wait. Goodbye, people. Nice meeting you all.
It looks like they dissipated into the air. So first group, don't be scared to click the link. I'm not sure. Let's find out. Come on. Crab Rave. Well, you should probably not. I mean, I don't know how it's a question, but if it helps to motivate you to write, sure. So this one's got read one of the texts, make a brief summary of the text that you read, and respond. Those are the bare bones of the assignment. Correct. Yeah, so group 2 said that focus on the main ideas of the author. Yes. So don't get lost in all the little details. Try and focus on what are the main things, any examples that are super useful. The questions here, will grammar count toward the grade? So yes, I'm going to grade you on 3 things, basically your summary and how good a job you do of explaining what's going on in the text, your response. So in your response, you should focus on just one idea or one reaction you had, if you can. Focus on just one thing and explain it to me well. And then the third thing is writing. So in there, it's going to be clarity, it's going to be grammar, and spelling. So those 3 things are what I will be grading on. Let's look at this one. Oh wait, and sorry, what is the minimum word count? So the minimum word count is 250. If you're writing less than 250 words, you're probably not saying very much. It's better to, if you can make it closer to the 400 word count, it'll probably show off what you know a lot better.
Yeah, sorry, Miss, I came in late. What are the few things you're going to be graded on?
Oh yeah, your summary and explanation of the text, your response, and how well you articulate and explain that. And the third one is writing, which includes grammar, clarity, organization.
So we're just going to be writing about what we read about. Basically.
Exactly.
Right.
So for this assignment, it's either Foucault on the Ship from last week, Christian Madness from this week, or the book of Marjorie Kemp for this week. Yes. Yeah.
Is there going to be like a template for the essay?
So there's no one right now. I can upload an example if y'all want. It's going to be for something that we haven't read in the class.
Okay.
So it may be confusing. But I suggest that you just organize it in 2 big paragraphs. So like first paragraph,
the intro,
summary,
okay,
explanation of what the text is. You don't need an introduction. You don't need a separate introduction and conclusion. And then second big paragraph, your response, explaining it to me. And it'll help if you, sorry?
Oh, you said that wait, repeat what you just said, because you like cut out a little bit.
Good question. I'm like, what was I at the end of? Oh, I was going to say that, so if you organize it like 2 big paragraphs, that's fine. That's probably great, rather than trying to make it into like 4 or 5 little paragraphs. And I will upload kind of a sample of a response paper. Yeah, it's from another class, so it's discussing something we haven't read. But that'll give you some idea. How much will it count for grade? We can go into the course outline. So there's 6 of these assignments, and they count for 30% in total, which means that they count for 5% each.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm marking. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so we don't have to have like an introduction, body, conclusion. We could just put it up in 2 and just talk about what's going on. Brief. That's part of the brief summary, or there's something else to that?
So you'll have the brief summary, and then you'll have the response. And the response is something that confused you, an example you thought was interesting, something you agreed or disagreed with, could be a connection to another class, could be any of those. So it's like your reaction and your ideas. And oh yeah, it's best in these papers if you pretend I know way less than I do. So you will explain the paper, or like the things you've read, better if you kind of imagine that I haven't read them. Imagine I'm your friend, mom, roommate, or that that's who you're writing for. So that if you bring up an idea, you can define it, right? So you're not assuming that I already know this inside and out.
So it's just basically your general thought about the story.
Yeah. And it's best if you go with just like one thought or reaction you have and explain that as much as you can.
I'm allowed to do that. That's good. All right.
Good. Group 4 disappeared. Group 5. Excellent. So group 5, we've got choose a reading, and then I'm just gonna make it bigger so we can all see. Write an outline. So writing an outline is great. So you might want to, put like, okay, in the first paragraph, what are the main points that I'm gonna talk about? If I had to pick, usually there's at most like 3 big things. There may even be less, there may only be 1 big thing. But try and identify what those are. And then even you can just write point form, like 1, explain what the ship is. 2, explain the setting, right? And use those to write from there. Okay, and the questions, so yes, it should more or less be an opinion leaning response. So the, as I said, the first part, which will be about a third, should be the summary, and the second part, which is about 2/3, which will be, yeah, it's your opinion. It's also like, try and make your opinion about the content. So sometimes people write response papers and they're like, oh, the author didn't talk about this other thing, and I really wish they talked about this other thing. And sometimes that's a good response because sometimes it's very relevant. Sometimes that's like, well, that's just not what they wrote about. That's a different kind of book. Is the grading based more on how the topics were explained or to produce an explanation? Yes. So because I'm going to be grading on the clarity of your writing, in part, I want to see how well you can reiterate the ideas. Are we able to cite the readings, or should we do it in our own words? So you can cite the readings, but I do not recommend citing more than like one sentence or maybe a few words in a quotation, because it's going to be way more obvious what you've understood if you do it in your own words. So that's an option. For citation styles, we're not going to worry about that yet. If you take a look here, I just typed it in this document so it would be easy. Just indicate the page number of the text after you quote it. So if you take a look at the screen right here, I've just got quote here, bracket 96, pretending it's page number 96. Okay, Scotty?
Yeah, sorry, miss. So what were the 3 texts again?
Oh yeah, so it's in the assignment document. So when you download it, you'll see it. It's Stultifera Navis, so the piece on the Ship of Fools by Foucault from last week. The book of Marjorie Kemp, which is from this week, which is her account of holy visions, more or less. And then a longer piece on both types of Christian madness from this week.
Thank you.
Good. Chat. Yes. Tal, to sum it up, we have to pick one of the 3 readings, summarize it, and write what you thought of it. Like I said, try and in your thoughts about it, focus on 1 or at most 2 things. Sometimes people will try and respond to like 7 different things they thought about the reading. And I'm glad you had a lot of thoughts, but it comes through much less clear for the reader. So it'll be a stronger paper if you can focus on just 1. Group 6. Yeah, okay, so no citation style for now. We'll talk more about citation later in the semester as we get towards the final essay. Be clear in statements, yes. Information needs to be factual, yes. You don't have to quote all of it, but you do have to refer to it. Yes, all ideas must come from yourself and not from an already written essay. Excellent. Do not procrastinate in Rainbow, very good. Can we add in quotes? Yes. How will the assignment be graded? I think I answered that. Yeah, you don't have to cite the source because we're like really just writing these based on the one piece, whichever one of those 3 you pick, I already know. Dua?
I'm sorry, is it 250 words for the whole essay?
It's from 250 to 400.
Oh, okay, that's a whole big difference. Okay.
Yeah, so I recommend that you go up to 400 or closer to 400 if you can, because that will show off more of what you know.
Yeah, because 200 it's a paragraph and 400 it's an essay. So.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Any other questions about the assignment?
That's it. That's all.
Let's go back to this thing. Questions you had about the assignment. Okay. Oh shoot, we're over time, you guys.
100 words or 300?
Between 250 and 400.
Right.
Yeah. So the minimum 250. You can go a little bit over 400, and I won't. You could probably go up to 500, and I won't deduct marks. But if you go beyond 5, yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry. It's like, I mean, I want to answer all your questions, but also it's no over 9,000s. I won't, because if everyone wrote an over 9,000, I couldn't possibly mark them all. So yeah, I want to let you guys go. Basically, these are our asynchronous activities for this week. So you have a very short encyclopedia entry with more information about that case with the nuns that I explained. You have Porter's piece on Christian madness, and you have a short quiz about that. So this is the quiz that I am grading. Yeah, this is the quiz that I am grading 4 marks. So for which ones you get right. So you can take your time with that. Like literally, if you want to have the reading open, searching through it for the answers, go ahead. This is for your practice. And then you'll have to read the 3 pages of the book of Marjorie Kemp. So those are the asynchronous activities. And then on top of that, you have the response paper due. Makes sense?
Right.
Okay, and all these things are on Leia on Omnivox. I just changed the permissions, so you should all be able to access the quiz directly from there. Is there anybody who has any other questions for today? Me, Maya, what's your question?
Do I have to log in on my computer from now on because we're gonna do Google Docs every class?
I'm not sure if we'll do it every class. I'm still trying it out. I'll probably send you guys a survey asking you about it.
Does it work on the phone? Did I just not click on the link fast enough?
We can use the word eyes and stuff, or you prefer us not to?
Sorry? Oh, yes, please use the word I. It'll help to get your voice through much more clearly in the paper. So you can say, I believe that, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty clear. Yes,
Maya. Or for, or it could be whichever one.
Sorry?
We have to be against or for the article, or it could be with.
Could be either one, could be neither of those, just like an example it reminded you of, a connection you made. You also don't have to be for or against the entire article, right? It could be a part of it that you disagree with. Yeah, Maya, I will take a look at Google Docs and I will brainstorm because I'm sure that there are other people who are also using phones and are having trouble. So we'll figure out something. Right now, I'm just like experimenting with different ways. So the readings for week 3, we have Marjorie Kemp, 3 pages, and Christian Madness, 12 pages. If you want to pick a weird one, you can talk about how weird it is, but you should also explain why it's weird or like what parts of it make it weird. That's an option. If you want to turn $1 into $1 million, go ahead. Be very happy with that. Okay. I'm gonna let you guys go because now we're overtime. So maybe I should give you 15 minutes back next week. We'll think about it. But for today, class is over. Anytime you need, you can send me Mayo, or an email. Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye.